will never be defeated. The workers united will never be defeated. The workers united will never be defeated.
So comrades, our next speaker is a Labour MP. Don't hold that against him. He's a very good one. In fact, if they were all like him, we'd be dancing in the street. Richard Burgeon has been a trade unionist all his life, still is a huge, loyal supporter of us. It's a massive privilege to have him here. Richard Burgeon, Leeds East Labour MP.
Thank you very much. I might speak with it in my hand. I don't usually do that. It means I can wander up and down, but it's great to see so many people marching through Leeds City Centre today to celebrate the contribution and struggle of working class people, not just in this city, not just across the country, but around the world. Because May Day is the day when the international working class celebrates the fact that it keeps our society globally moving. And so we come together to celebrate the struggles of the last year of the trade union and labour movement, and we resolve to fight like hell in the year ahead. And Jane and Paul have already touched upon some of those victories. But I want to send out a message from this Leeds May Day rally that we salute every single worker who has been on strike in the last 12 months, whether it be in Birmingham in the Victoria Spin Strike, or whether it be in Wakefield at the National Coal Mining Museum, or in any dispute whatsoever. Because solidarity isn't a word, solidarity is a verb. And we need to stand shoulder to shoulder with workers in struggle. That's why no one, Prime Minister or anyone else, can stop me from standing with workers on a picket line. And we need to build a mass workers' movement, and it's never been needed like it has been today, because we see the politics of division by those who want to see Trump-style political parties running councils in the UK, but also who want to see a Trump-style government in the UK, with all the hatred, racism, misogyny and division that brings. We can't allow that to happen. We've had right-wing governments in our country's history before. We've had very right-wing governments. What we've never had in our country's history is a far-right government. And poll after poll shows that's a real risk. And the people who are going around singing the song given to them by Trump, by Farage, by Rupert Lowe and others, they're so anti-establishment that they're supported by the richest man on earth, Elon Musk, and they're supported by the most powerful man on earth, Donald Trump. I think there's a phrase for these political activists, I'm afraid, and that is useful idiots at best. Because what they are doing is they are paving the way for a government that will also trample on them, because this is a government that would be against council house building. This is a government that would be against workers' rights. This is a government that would be against civil liberties and freedoms that are hard won. So if reform win, we all lose. And even some of those who have been persuaded in this difficult economic situation to consider voting for them would lose as well. And we need to understand, don't we, that when there's a cost of living crisis, and we haven't seen living standards improve for 20 years, then people understandably are more susceptible to the siren messages of scapegoating and division of Farage and other people as well. The reality is that they don't stand up for working class people. They've got second jobs coming out their ears because getting paid 100 grand a year as an MP isn't enough for the so-called people's friend Nigel Farage. Second jobs coming out their ears because low wages are good enough for you but not good enough for him. So let's carry on fighting. I'm pleased, as Paul has said, that the Employment Rights Act has happened, but we also need to build upon it. We need a second Employment Rights Act to finish the job that's been started. Workers in this country have been treated like dirt for far too long. Work has become more insecure, more low paid, more precarious. And so the Employment Rights Act is an important step in the right direction, but we need to push even further on that. We need to see a real strengthening, not just in individual rights, but also in collective rights. We want to see the trade union movement unshackled so it can fight without limitation for the working class majority in all its diversity in this country. The second point I want to make is about the internationalism of today, because one of our mottos is workers of the world unite. And all of us, wherever we're born, whether a worker that was born in Leeds, or a worker that was born in mainland Europe, or a worker that was born in the global south, we all have more in common with each other than we do with Elon Musk, Donald Trump and Nigel Farage.
Boo, separation, boo.
Well, I do believe in the politics of separation, to the heckler. I believe in the politics of separation between the 99% and the 1%. I believe in the politics that the vast majority aren't getting the life that they deserve, and the reason for that isn't asylum seekers, isn't ethnic minorities, isn't gay people, isn't trans people, isn't internationalists, it's those at the top who've been doing very well. And it doesn't upset Farage and the others that the combined wealth of British billionaires has more than doubled since 2010. In 2010, the combined wealth of British billionaires was £250 billion. The combined wealth of British billionaires is now over £600 billion. So when you hear that, ask yourself, why the hell are you spending your Friday nights screaming abuse at asylum seekers outside hotels? We need to remember. We need to remember whose side we're on. We're on the side of the working class in all its diversity, the working class majority. And the truth is, and I'm really proud that Stand Up to Racism has worked in partnership with Leeds Trades Council today to put on this demonstration. I'm proud to be the Honorary Vice President of Leeds Stand Up to Racism nationally, and I'm proud to be the Honorary President of Stand Up to Racism in Leeds. It's such an important organisation, along with others, really busting the myths that are trying to divide us and turn us against each other. But I want to make this point about internationalism, and I do realise I've rabbited along a lot, Jane. Unlike Lindsay Hoyle, she won't stop me speaking, or maybe she will, maybe she will, and she will in a second. Internationalism is so important. I've only ever been on 3 international visits whilst an MP, so not as many as Farage, when he's going here, there and everywhere. In 2016 I went to the West Bank and saw with my own eyes what we knew to be true, the oppression of the Palestinian people by the Israeli government. And more recently, I went to Cuba for 3 days, and I paid myself to go there to deliver emergency medical aid because Donald Trump had stopped a single drop of fuel getting into Cuba for 3 months at that stage. I visited the cancer hospital and talked to the workers there about the problems that their patients and staff are facing as a result of Trump's illegal prevention of fuel going in, Trump's illegal and inhumane intensification of the blockade, and he's announced further sanctions yesterday. International law is important. We've seen it broken time and time again with the war crimes and genocide in Palestine, and now we see as well the noose being tightened on the Cuban people by a United States president that has no respect for international law. Innocent people killed in Iran, innocent people killed in Gaza, innocent people paying the price in Cuba. It must not go on. And I will end on this. Racism and division is on the rise as we have a battle of ideas for what kind of society we want. And so we must reject the politics of hate and division. You know, we see anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, homophobia, transphobia, racism against the Gypsy, Roma and Traveller community. We see a hostile environment intensified for disabled people. But as well as all of these things being heinous and morally wrong, they're a complete dead end, because that politics of division and hatred doesn't build a single council house. It doesn't create a single school place. It doesn't get a single operation done. In fact, without migrants, our NHS would collapse. That is the truth. I mentioned Cuba earlier and my visit there. It reminds me of the famous quote by Jose Marti, the great Cuban poet, independence fighter who actually died in the independence war against Spain. He said something very important. He said, humanity is our homeland. Humanity is our homeland. We're all brothers and sisters. Workers of the world, unite. Unite to defeat the politics of hate, division and extremism. And I want to see in this next year socialists in the Labour Party, socialists in other parties and socialists in no party working together to stop us ending up with the first far-right government in our history. That's our historical task. Let's work together to achieve it. Solidarity, thank you very much.
Sisters and brothers, thanks Richard, that was a fantastic speech. Can I just say, in Leeds TUC, we are impatient for change. We don't want to wait for the politicians to deliver it. And so we are starting a community project in Leeds East, and our friend Jess from the Good Work Project will have been giving you leaflets today. Are you here, Jess? Can I see you? Can't see it, but she's here anyway. Get a leaflet about the Good Work Project if you want to get involved in community organising to try to deliver for people the change they need now. Our next speaker is from Stand Up to Racism. She's an inspirational national organiser and Unite member from Women Against the Far Right, Samira Ali. Thanks, Samira.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone. It's a brilliant sight to see the sun shining down on us today. I want to start by saying that I'm really honoured to have been invited here today by Leeds Trades Council and also by Stand Up to Racism. Obviously we're here today to celebrate workers' struggle in this country and beyond, and that's the way that we have fought for every right and every advance and every gain that we have in this country. That is working class unity, and that principle of unity, solidarity and struggle is what we stand in today. And there's also a tradition we stand in, a tradition that when we see the far right and what they look like today, that we know we have beaten them before. And that's with that same working class unity that has always defeated the forces of division. And this year we celebrate 90 years since Cable Street, when the British Union fascists and Oswald Mosley tried to go into the East End and attack Jewish people, and he was met by Jewish workers, socialists, communists, trade unionists who drove the British Union and fascists out of the East End. But because we're in Leeds, I also want to talk about what came before that battle, the Battle of Holbeck Moor, where when the black shirts came to Leeds, they were met by the same tens of thousands of trade unionists and workers and socialists who drove them out. And where Oswald Mosley got a gash to his eye by an unfortunate rock flying in his direction, that you could see in the weeks later when they marched in Cable Street. That's what our movement does. And that matters now because we are seeing the far right coming for every right and thing that we have won in this country, and they want to drive us backwards. They want to attack migrants' rights. They want to attack the gains the anti-racist movement has made. They want to attack equality at work and elsewhere, and they're coming for women's rights. Because Reform UK are a threat to us all, but they're also a massive threat to women. They have people in their party that want to ban abortion in all cases. They want to roll back on divorce rights for women in this country. They think that young women in this country, like me, need a reality check because we're not having enough babies, and if we don't, we should be taxed for doing so. This is not dystopian. This is what Reform UK promises they will do, and we have to believe them and meet them with the opposition that will stop them. And the Reform UK have many crimes, but one of their biggest crimes is parading around as men of the people. People like Nigel Farage, Richard Tice, private school boys, posh boys, people that made their money in the city, people that want to come and tell working class people what the problems are in our society while they're bankrolled by the billionaires, and while between them they've dodged millions of pounds in tax in this country. Well, we have to stand up to their lies. But the far right have another lie, and they say that they care about women, they say they care about our safety, and they say that they want to tell women how we should be safe. Well, they say that the only solution to that is racism, division, attacks on migrants and refugees on the streets and in their accommodation. Well, I'll tell you something. When I think about who makes me feel unsafe as a Muslim woman in this country, it is the far right. It is Nigel Farage. It is Tommy Robinson. It's the 2 in 5 people that are arrested on the race riots of 2 years ago who had already been convicted of domestic abuse. And it's sex offenders like Donald Trump and his mates who find themselves in the Epstein files, the big group of elitist men who let themselves get away with it time and time again. That's who makes me feel unsafe. Not Muslims, not migrants, not refugees, not trans women. But unfortunately, as others have said, we know the threat of reform is real. We know they want to take step forwards in the elections in just a week or so's time, and what they want to bring is the politics of Trump in Britain. They want tens of thousands of mass deportations of the very people that keep our country running, and they want to bring that politics of sexism, racism and division here to Britain. And there's people like Tommy Robinson, who says he's a great patriot, but has spent the last 3 weeks touring around the US, getting money from the billionaires and MAGA and Trump's own cabinet to put on another racist demonstration in London. Well, when these far-right figures say they want to bring Trumpism to Britain, we have to remember what that looks like. We have to remember what it looked like in Minneapolis, with racist ICE being unleashed on the streets. But then we also have to say, if they bring Trumpism to Britain, we're bringing Minneapolis to Britain. We're bringing workers walking out in their thousands that kicked out ICE, that kicked out Trump's forces on the streets of Minneapolis. And that's the kind of protest and unity that will defeat the far right here as well. And on the 28th of March, on that Together Alliance demonstration, that historic demonstration, we proved what we look like when we come together. We proved what working class unity looks like and the strength of the anti-racist movement to defeat the forces of division. So on the 16th of May, when Tommy Robinson has the gall to come to central London with his racist supporters, on the same day that the Palestine movement is marching to commemorate the Nakba of all days, and the authorities are choosing to prioritise fascists and anti-Semites like Tommy Robinson and his friends over our march of unity, peace for Palestine and against fascism, we have to turn up in the biggest numbers that we've seen. We have to turn up in the same way we turned up on the 28th of March. And I'll just end on this. Nothing enrages the far right like angry women standing up to them. And that's why